Good morning and Jai Hind everyone. We are discussing the chapter Conservation of Plants and Animals in Biology. Alright, and in previous class we have started the book exercise, and out of that exercise we have explained the answers of exercise A and B. Is it? Now, today we will start the exercise C. Is it? And the exercise C is with short answer question. Short answer question means, children, you have to write the answers in just a sentence, one or two sentences, not more than that is required. Alright, so come to the short answer questions. And the question number, how much questions we have explained? Out we have number of questions in short, and some of the questions from type 1 we have explained. Is it? Question number 5 we have explained. So we will start question number 6 today. And the question is, what are endemic species? Okay, children, we have explained the different species, different kind of species of plants and animals in the chapter, like endangered species, okay, and all. So, endemic species are simply the species of plants and animals that are found exclusively in a particular area and are not naturally found in anywhere else. Get it? Understood? And the example of such kind of species are Indian gauge squirrel and the flying squirrels. These are the endemic species of animals found where? In Panchmari Biosphere Reserve area. Get it? Understood? So just like that, we have number of endemic species in our country also, which are particularly found in a particular region, particular part. Get it? So such species are known as endemic species. Now come to the next question number 7. And the question is, why did IUCN prepare the red data book? Children, here you have to write down the objective. What is the reason that IUCN have prepared this red data book? We have discussed that IUCN is an international organization. Is it not? IUCN. And its full name is International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources. Okay, so this organization prepared the red data book for what? To highlight those animals who are threatened with extinction and with the aim of promoting their conservation. What is the aim for preparing this list in the red data book? Just to conserve them. About which kind of species? Those who are threatened and near to extinction. Get it? Now, the next question number 8. And the question is, into what categories are the species listed the red list and red data book classified? Understood the meaning of the question? Here you have to write down the name of categories of the animals or the species in which different animals are listed. Get it? So that together the list is known as red list. Together such all list is known as red list present in red data book. But which kind of animals are listed here? Yes, so simply threatened with extinction animals. That is endangered species, you can say that. So which kind of species are listed in red list? Threatened with extinction. Those who are very less in population and near to extinction. And that species are also known as endangered species. So they are listed in red list of red data book. Okay. Now we have some more short answer questions. This is the short answer question given in the type 1. Okay. Now in type 2, we have some more question given in the book exercise. So let's discuss these questions also. And the question number 1 is, list 4 ways in which forest useful to us. Children, the answer of this question you can give by yourself also, because it's very common thing that you have to list here. How many ways? 4 ways in which the forests are useful to us. So what different things we are going to get from the forest? The one is, yes, they yield valuable products such as timber, wood pulp, latex. These all we obtain from the forest. So this is one of the use. Second importance is that they protect life, wildlife especially. Wild animals get protected because of the forest. Because forest provide them the natural habitat, home, shelter. Is it? So the second importance of the forest that they protect wildlife, since wildlife depends on the what? Forest for their food and for their shelter. Get it? The third one is there, they help in maintaining the balance between carbon dioxide and oxygen in the atmosphere. These two gases get maintained balanced because of the forest. As the trees give out oxygen during photosynthesis and absorb carbon dioxide during the photosynthesis. Get it? So these two gases are going to be maintained in the atmosphere. And the fourth one is that they regulate the temperature of the earth. They help to regulate or maintain the earth's temperature. It is also because of the what? Absorbing carbon dioxide in photosynthesis. Because you know very well, carbon dioxide can trap the sun energy and can increase the temperature. Okay, so absorbing it in photosynthesis, they regulate the temperature, they maintain the temperature of the earth. Get it? So these are the 4 ways in which forests are useful to us. Now come to the next question number 2. And here you have to what? List 3 main causes of deforestation. Why deforestation is going to occur? What are the causes? So the first cause is to build homes, factories, roads and dams. For building these all things, we are going to cut the trees at large scale. So deforestation is going to occur because of it. Second one is what? For farming, as more food is needed to feed the growing population. As nowadays population is going to increase, and to provide the food to feed them, more food is required. Get it? So definitely more crop need to grow, and for growing the crops, what we need? We need the farmlands, we need the field to grow the crop, and that is why the forest get cleared and that land is used to grow the crops. Get it? And the third reason is, the third cause is what? For mining of minerals such as coal, petroleum and other ores. So for mining these all substances also trees are going to cut at large scale. Understood everyone? These are the 3 causes of deforestation. Okay. Now come to the next question number 3. And the question is, deforestation can lead to desertification. We have discussed in the chapter. Due to the deforestation, desertification also occur. How you can say that? You have to explain about it. The relationship between deforestation and desertification. Okay, so remember that children, deforestation causes an increase in soil erosion because there is no one to bind the soil particles. Is it now? Because root of the plants are binding the soil particle, but after cutting down there is no one to bind the soil and easily the soil eroded. Get it? And as the top soil, you know very well, most fertile layer of the soil. Is it now? And if it's going to erode, so what will happen? It's become hard and rocky soil with less humus get exposed. Okay, and this soil is less fertile, and over the time continued soil erosion can convert the land into a desert. So slowly and slowly that land will convert into desert, and simply this is known as desertification. Okay, so desertification is the result of deforestation. You can say that. Is it? Alright. Now, come to the next question number 4. And the question is, what effect can deforestation have on groundwater? Give reason. The effect on groundwater. What may be the effect of this deforestation? So children, simply that deforestation causes reduction in groundwater. This is the effect. Is it not? And why? Due to the decreased water absorption capacity of the soil. As the plants get cut, soil lose their water absorption capacity. And if this capacity get decreased, so definitely the groundwater level will also reduce, gets decreased. Is it clear, everyone? And as this water, groundwater is going to reduce because of less absorption, so that excess rainwater will go there. They get collected on the surface of land and causes flood. And result is flood. Get it? So flood is going to occur, and as well as reduction in groundwater is going to occur just because of the deforestation. Yeah. Now, the next question number 5. And the question is, what do you mean by plant harvesting of forest, and how does it help in their conservation? Children, plant harvesting we have discussed in the chapter now. Plant harvesting of forest is the what? Cutting off only some of the trees in a forest. Okay. And the uncut trees prevent the erosion and produce seeds so that new trees can grow. Alright. And the number of trees in the forest gets maintained. Alright. So in this way, you can say that plant harvesting helps in conservation. Okay. Now the next one, question number 6. And the question is, in what ways are wildlife conservation and forest conservation related? Children, here you have to show the relationship between wildlife conservation and what? Forest conservation. How they both are related. Simply that wildlife conservation is closely related to forest conservation, because when a forest is destroyed, so what happens? A large number of animal becomes extinct or endangered because they lose their shelter. They lose their natural habitat. So to conserve the habitat of endangered animals, it is necessary to protect the forest. Is it not? If we want to protect such endangered animal, so what we have to do, what we have to protect? We have to protect our forest. So that is why we can say they both are related to each other. Alright? Forest conservation as well as wildlife conservation. Okay? Now the next one, question number 7. And the question is, what is the difference between a wildlife sanctuary and a biosphere reserve? Children, some protected areas made by government to protect the species of plants and animals, is it? And out of those protected areas, wildlife sanctuaries, national park and biosphere reserves are there, is it? So here you have to discuss what? You have to discuss the difference between wildlife sanctuary and a biosphere reserve. Okay, so wildlife sanctuaries are the protected forests to preserve the wildlife, providing protection and suitable living conditions for wild animals. Wildlife sanctuaries are made for what? Just to protect the wild animals in their natural habitat. Okay, and the biosphere reserve, it is a large protected area and set aside for conservation of what? Wildlife, plants and animal resources and the traditional life of the tribal, okay, living in that area. Alright, so these all get protected under the Biosphere Reserve. Yeah. So Biosphere Reserve is a, what you can say that Biosphere Reserve is a broader term than wildlife sanctuaries. Okay, under a Biosphere Reserve can be some wildlife sanctuaries made situated. Okay, so a Biosphere Reserve may have national parks and wildlife sanctuaries within it. Get it? So this is the difference between Biosphere Reserve and wildlife sanctuary. One is the large area, one is the short area. One get made just to protect certain wild animals, and the second one is get made to protect all the resources of that forest, plants, animals, tribals, everything. Okay, so this is your all short answer questions of type 1 and type 2. Okay, and I hope that you understood all the answers. So come to the next exercise, that is long answer questions. Long answer question. Children, here you have to give the answer in a paragraph. It is not just in 2 lines or 3 lines only. Question number 1. Discuss 5 methods of forest conservation. Here you have to not list only, discuss, explain 5 different methods of what? Forest conservation, how we can conserve the forest. So we have discussed different methods of conservation in the chapter now. Okay, so come to the first. What we have discussed first? Plant harvesting. Is it? Plant harvesting, that is cutting only some of the trees in an area, and the uncut trees prevent what? Soil erosion and produce seeds so that new trees can grow. Okay, so this is one of the method, plant harvesting. Second method is what? Yes, afforestation or reforestation. Get it? So this afforestation or reforestation means that renewing a forest by planting seedlings or small trees of the same species as found in the forest. So this is also one of the method of conservation of plants. The third method is protection from forest fire, because number of trees everywhere get destroyed, gets burned due to the forest fire. So protection from forest fire also needed, and this protection can occur by spraying the fire extinguishing solution from aircrafts. Get it? So we can protect more trees from the fire. Right. And the fifth method is protection from insects and pests. Okay, these are the microorganisms who can also damage the large number of plants, who can infect the plants. Alright, so the plants also need protection from these insects and pests. And how we can protect them? By using insecticides and fungicides. Alright, and also removing infected trees, because infected trees will spread that disease from one plant to another plant. Alright, so if an infected trees get identified, so we need to remove from that forest. So rest of the trees gets saved. Alright, so these are the different ways by which we can what? Conserve the forest. Understood everyone? Now come to the next. Question number 2. And the question is, what are the consequences of deforestation? As the deforestation is going to take place, trees are going to cut. So what problems are going to create due to this cutting down of trees? Okay, so you have to list that the problems of deforestation. So what are the consequences? The first one is deforestation causes an increase in soil erosion. Is it not? And reason you know very well. As the top soil gets eroded, the lower hard and rocky soil with less humus gets exposed and the soil is less fertile. That is why after some time continued soil erosion can convert the land into a desert. So this is one of the problem created by soil by deforestation. The second consequence is, yes, it is also responsible for increasing the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Okay, and that results in global warming. Increase in carbon dioxide is finally results the global warming, increasing the temperature, Earth temperature. Alright. The next consequence, yes, it causes reduction in groundwater. Alright. How? Due to the decreased water absorption capacity of soil. Right. So these are the different consequences of deforestation. Clear, children? Now come to the next question number 3. And the question is, discuss the steps necessary for wildlife conservation. How we can conserve the wildlife? What steps we can take to conserve them? So the different steps taken are, the first one is habitat preservation. This is one of the steps taken to what? Conserve the wildlife. And in habitat preservation, what happened? Preserving the habitat of wildlife that helps in their conservation. And this preventing deforestation is an important method of habitat preservation, and afforestation provides shelter and food for the wildlife. Get it? So we can preserve the habitats of the animals by different ways, by afforestation and by stopping the cutting down of the trees and all. So that what can happen? Wildlife can increase, their population can increase, they can conserve. Second step is hunting regulations. Government must have to make strict laws, strict rules. Okay, so regulations, hunting regulation must be made, and the government regulations related to hunting, especially killing of the animals illegally, and their effective implementation is very important for wildlife conservation. Okay, and the hunting of endangered species is completely banned by the government. Okay, and it will be implemented also by the officials, because if the people will have fear while killing the animals, then what will happen? They will stop killing, they will stop hunting. And how this fear will come? Because of having strict regulation, strict laws, punishment and all. Okay. Yes. Now the next way is Biosphere Reserve, wildlife sanctuaries and national parks. These are the protected areas now. By making such protected areas and to effectively implement the methods of conserving forest and wildlife. And the government has set aside permanent protected areas for conservation of biodiversity in that area. And there are these are that known as biosphere reserves. So protected areas must be made by the government, which are strictly followed by everyone, so that wildlife can be conserved within that area, within that protected area. Right. And the next method is here national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. They are the protected forest to preserve the wildlife, and they provide protection and suitable living conditions for wild animals. Right? And the wild animals, they can breed there and can multiply and increase their population in such protected areas. Get it? So these are the different steps by which we can conserve wildlife, wild animals. Understood? Clear now everyone? These all long answers. Hmm? Now, after that, we have one more exercise, that is thoughts questions. Thoughts questions. Fill in the questions which are given here. First of all, you have to understand the questions and think about that, and then you can give the answers easily by yourself. Get it? So you need to think about the question which is given here. And the first question is given that to conserve forest, we should ban cutting down of trees completely. Do you agree? Think about that. Cutting down of trees should be banned completely. Yes, no. Because banning the cutting down of trees completely is not practical. Is it not? It is not practical as we need wood for several purposes. We require the wood for different purpose and the planned harvesting of trees so that we get our requirements without reducing the forest cover is a practical way. So in place of completely ban our trees, we must have to use the method of planned harvesting. Okay, so our requirement of wood will get completed, fulfilled, and the number of trees also get maintained. Understood now? Question number two. Animals are protected in a zoo. Everyone know the zoo? Gone to the zoo now? Okay, so animals are protected in a zoo also. What is the difference between a zoo and a wildlife sanctuary? And where do you think animals will be happier out of these two places? So first of all, what is the difference between zoo and a wildlife sanctuary? When you fill in simply, in a zoo, that wildlife are kept in an artificial habitat. Is it not? For what? For public viewing. Public are going there and view there the different kind of animals. Is it? Whereas in a wildlife sanctuary, what happened? Animals are allowed to live in their natural habitat without the fear of being hunted. Is it? So this is the main difference. One is the artificial habitat, second one is the natural habitat. There the animals are kept for public view and here they are surviving naturally without the fear of anyone in wildlife sanctuary. It is. So this is the difference between them. And where they will be happy more? Yeah, definitely in wildlife sanctuaries. Okay. Now comes to the next question number 3. Children, in question number 3, a statement is given. So read out that statement carefully and then think about it and give the answer. So the statement is, when you plant saplings in forest for afforestation, it takes several years for them to grow into big trees. Is it? Plant take na several years to become a tree. A construction company thought of doing planned harvesting in a forest. There is a construction company and he is going to thought about what? Planned harvesting in a forest. So they cut 10 trees every month and planted 10 new saplings every month as replacement. What the situation? That construction company is going to cut 10 trees every month from the forest and planting the 10 saplings to replace it. Okay, every month. Do you think that they will be successful in maintaining the number of trees in the forest? This is the question. What do you think? That the number of trees can be maintained by this step? And what change in strategy can you suggest? So come to the first. Do you think it is suitable? It is able to maintain? No. The strategy will not be successful as the saplings will take several years to grow. It will not grow just in 1 month or 2 months. Is it now? And by that time, most of the forest would have disappeared. So during that growing time of number of years, a lot of forest get disappear, get cut down because that company is going to cut 10 trees every month. Is it not? So a lot of trees get cut as the small saplings can grow and become a tree during that duration. Is it? And also they should only cut down a few trees. from one area and then move to another area. This is the proper strategy. As the company is going to cut the trees, so they can cut some of the trees from one area once, and after that they can move to another area to cut there and plant the new saplings, but it should not be equal to, as you are going to cut 10 trees, so planting 10 saplings only. No, if you are going to 10 cut 10 trees, so you must have to plant, yes, more than that, 50, 60, about 100 saplings in place of that. Okay, then it can be balanced, it can be maintained. Understood now the condition what is given in the question and what should be the correct strategy? All right. Now, come to the next question. And the question number 4 is, tribal depends on forest for food and livelihood. That you know very well. The overall life of tribal people are depend on forest. Is it fair to prevent them from entering the forest? Think about it. So tribals can allow to enter in the forest. How can their symbiotic relationship be maintained? You don't know now symbiotic relationship, the relationship between two in which both are dependent to each other. So such relationship is symbiotic relationship. And here the symbiotic relationship between tribals and forest. So you have to tell that how can their symbiotic relationship be maintained. So first of all, the first question is there. They are allowed to move in forest or not? Is it fair to prevent them from entering the forest? Means to stop them from entering the forest? No, we cannot stop. Is it not? Reason? Because their symbiotic relationship can be maintained by allowing them to live peacefully in designated forest areas without interference. Forest and the basic support system for tribal, this may be applied. We allow them because their livelihood is dependent on forest, but they cannot disturb the natural habitats of wildlife. They cannot disturb the what basic support system of the tribal people also, and they provide them employment through harvesting of forest, raising of plantations, and collection and processing of forest products. The tribal people are also going to employment. Okay, because how they collect the forest product, is it, and also they process such forest product and they sell them and get their livelihood on the money to get survive there. So the forest also supply fuel, fodder, and a variety of forest product for um, subsistence needs of the tribes. Forests are going to provide a lot of things to the tribal people, is it not? They provide them the wood for fuel, the dry twigs, the dry branches of the plants can be used as a fuel for them. The different products like that, you can say the fruits which appear on the trees, is it, fibers that obtained from the plants and all, so they get obtained by the tribal from the forest. And in place of that, what tribal people are going to provide to the forest? They are going to protect them from cutting down. Okay, and they are also going to maintain the basic support system of them. It is. So by this way, you can say that the tribals are allowed certain restriction. They are allowed to move in the forest with certain restriction. They can take the forest products but without harming the plant. They can collect the wood for fuel but without cutting the green branches. They can collect only the dry out branches of the dry trees. Alright, so by certain instruction they can allow. Get it? So this one is all about What's question and all about the book exercise. And I hope that you understood all the answers of chapter. Clear? Understood, everyone? So now you need to write these all exercise in your notebook. Okay. Thank you and have a nice weekend.